The term bullet sponges comes from, right? What is old school warfare? Is you stand on the front line and 80% of the front line is going to eat a bullet. And you step over him and you step over the next line. You literally are stepping over bodies. That is warfare.
Thanks for joining us as we peek behind the curtain of a grunt's life, where we dive deep into the psychology of our #1 show with special guest Lauren Rich, a licensed clinical therapist who has been working with combat veterans for over a decade. Here, we'll discuss the ways in which the military mindset serves to win wars, but isn't as helpful for good mental health post-service. We'll also do a character analysis of Lieutenant Murphy, giving insight into his mindset and kind of psychotic behavior. Kind of. So welcome to the path out of hell, boys and girls.
So, welcome back. We are here with the famous Lauren Rich once again, and we're going to get into episode 3 of A Grunt's Life. And we got a lot to talk about. We got the first scene queued up.
Like I shared with you, I cannot keep track of people's names, and so they have affectionate names like Meathead and Blue Eyes. So better known as Mitchell and, what do we say, Cox? Okay, Greg Kelly's character. Part of what I think other people appreciate about Vet TV is that you actually show the hurry up and wait, which Hollywood does not show. It's always kicking indoors and killing people. But there is a lot of downtime on deployments, a lot. And conversations like this take place where they start talking about, do the Afghans even care? And Greg Kelly is saying, I don't want to be desensitized to it. They're still people, they're still human.
I don't know why it's so hard, bro. Like, they're all just prehistoric pieces of shit. Straight up, man, subhuman. Fuck them.
Yeah, no, you're right. But still, like, a part of me wants to be a little more civilized than that.
The meathead comes back with, they fuck goats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that kind of shows the difference in levels of thinking. Greg Kelly, I would think, is going to be one of those who potentially really struggles when he comes home, because his ultimate question is, what is this all for? Is that fair?
Yes, 100%. There's more that his character is struggling with. Is not just what is this all for, but is what we're doing right.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is why he represents the compassionate perspective. Like we all served with guys.
And he does it well.
Yeah.
And he does it well.
That's
yes.
his personality.
Yes.
We all served with people who were compassionate. And those people were often shamed by everyone else.
For having a heart.
Yeah, for having a heart.
Yeah.
So get that weak bitch shit the fuck out of here.
Yes.
Compassion. We're at war, buddy.
Yes. Empathy for another human being.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But
sounds like you should join a FET team, buddy.
He gets it on a much deeper level, as where the meathead is just numb and detached, and he functions there really well.
Yeah.
He does.
He does.
That's his comfortable place. But he also does that because he doesn't want to acknowledge what he's doing may actually be problematic for him. Yeah. So it's so much easier to live in numbness and detachment.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to feel all the time.
No, don't want to feel all the time. The other caveat to that is, we have to think about, we put so many local nationals to work on our bases, on our FOBs, for our people, with the ultimate understanding that they're going to work with us as a team. And in that conversation, you have to think, I have guys that have reported, we trained A&A, and the next thing I know, they're just dropping their guns and running the other way. And so if the A&A has abandoned the idea, why do I have to hang on to that?
Why do I give a fuck about their country more than they do?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
That's part of the mind fuck of counterinsurgency, which I think, I'm pretty positive the guys in Vietnam dealt with the same thing with the South Vietnamese army. And the guys who fought in Iraq dealt with it, and the Afghan guys dealt with it.
And then you get to come home and you get to watch Mosul be taken 3 and 4 times and lost 3 and 4 times on the news. And then you just become pissed off and angry at the American government because, well, I think the T-shirt actually says, "When I left Iraq, we were winning." You know, I've seen a couple of those. When I left Iraq, we were winning.
Yeah.
You know, so it's demoralizing to come home and to have to continue to have that thought process, especially when you lose people.
Yeah, 100%. And for me personally, part of the anger and frustration that was channeled into the show was that when we were there, we were watching bases that we had established get overrun by the Taliban because we were pushed far out onto the forward line of enemy troops. Out here, we established bases hand in hand with the Afghans, and they're like, okay, you guys got it. So we step back to the bases over here. We leave the Afghans on the forward line of enemy troops, and then we step back from here, one level over here, and we leave these with the Afghans, or some of them we close down completely. And it's like, okay, defend your country now.
Go do what we taught you to do.
And while we are there, they are abandoning their posts. They abandon for 2 reasons. They're being overrun out of fear, or the Taliban just offered them money. Because who actually fights in the Afghan National Army? It's a lot of northern Afghans. And northern Afghans, it's where the Northern Alliance came from. It's one of the largest tribes and powerful tribes in Afghanistan.
And money driven. A lot of money.
Oh yeah, I mean, the Afghan officers, they keep a portion of the money that comes to them to give to the troops, and that's like an accepted thing.
I also think that that's something that the American public doesn't quite conceptualize is the amount of money that goes into terrorism. You know, they are a really well-oiled machine, and they're great businessmen.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. To think about these mountain people who are tribal and have almost what we consider no resources, and yet the amount of money that goes into them, the actual resources that they do have and where it comes from, that can be enraging for people.
Sure. Yeah,
So.
there's so much about it is infuriating, but even before we watched the bases get overrun, I remember looking at these Afghan guys and I'm like, there's no way in hell these guys are going to defend their fucking country when we leave. They didn't even, Afghanistan didn't have a sense of nationalism. They didn't carry the Afghan flag before we started putting it in their fucking hands. Nobody even printed the Afghan flag. We started getting China to print the Afghan flag.
There you go.
And put them in the hands of Afghans. And they're like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
You know? And so I remember seeing that and being like, this will never work. This is so stupid. Fuck it. And then for me, I was just, okay, fuck the shit. Let's just kill as many Taliban as we can. And try not to hit civilians, because I always knew civilians that's conscience. It's minus points on the conscience. Don't
And you
do that.
can't make someone care. You cannot force them to care.
No.
You know.
No, not at all. And so we're looking at the Afghans like, they're not going to defend their fucking country. And then as we're leaving, their bases are getting overrun. And then we come home to America, and then we're checking the news, and it's like, oh, Sangin fell to the Taliban, Musa Kaila's to the Taliban, Nowzad's to the Taliban, all these places that, you know, we were so proudly kicked the Taliban out and had an American presence, all back in the hands of the Taliban.
And the Vietnam version of that is take the hill, lose the hill. Take the hill, lose the hill.
Yes.
Take the hill, lose the hill. You know, how many times can we wash, rinse, repeat the same bad idea?
Yeah, the Ken Burns documentary on Vietnam War really fucked me
It was
up.
really good.
Yeah,
It was
fucked me
really
up.
good. Yeah.
Wow. My country, my government can be that stupid again.
Learned nothing.
Jesus. Okay, so this, what's next?
Really the CO, where he starts talking about himself. God, I just can't stand this guy. I'm gonna punch him in the throat.
I can't stand people talk about themselves.
Well, him. I don't mind people. I mean, I can listen to anything, but
Here's the scene. The CO.
This was our last crew tournament, and the sides of the river were just packed with chicks. Yeah, like dozens of them. And all eyes on me or whatever, but there's this one chick.
this part cracks me up.
Yeah,
Yes.
dozens.
Like dozens. Like dozens. Not hundreds,
eyes
not
on me or
thousands,
whatever, but
like dozens of chicks, and all eyes were on me. I would have to say I think we're a clinical narcissist. He is in love with the idea of an image, and he is all about image all the time. I mean, the first sergeant, I mean, he doesn't hardly say a word, and he doesn't have to because the CO is constantly talking about himself all the time. Yeah.
In the Marine Corps, any rank really, but especially as an officer, it's all about image.
Yes.
Because perception is reality.
Reality.
And therefore you must always be hyper concerned with what is their perception of me right now. So it's this thought process, oh my God, this is what I'm so excited to get into. I just realized that part of the thought process that I think is so miserably damaging to good mental health is that in the military, but especially the Marine Corps, especially the officer corps, even staff sergeants, any NCO and up, like you are told you are Marine 24/7. Right? There is no time that you just take off the uniform and no, you're not a Marine. No, you're Marine 24/7. Someone's always watching you. And perception is reality. And anything that happens to you at this command is going to follow you for the rest of your career. So don't get a bad rep, because it's going to stick with you forever. So now everyone's hyper concerned about what other people think of me. So it's like every room that you walk into, your mind, half of your brain power, of the neurons firing in your brain are, what is he thinking of me? What is he thinking of me? What is she thinking of me? Is he, right? Your brain is thinking, what are they thinking? Well, that's you're expending brain power on that. That takes away from the brain power for your ability to be yourself. And in the civilian world, if you exist with this constant worry of what others are thinking, you will never find happiness, ever. That's a part of the mindset that is so damaging that people can't let go of. They're afraid to do things, to step out of the zone of normality, the zone of what everyone around them would perceive as normal, because they don't want to be seen as a weirdo. They don't want to be seen
Different.
as one of those hippies, one of those druggies, right? It's this constant fear of their perception. And that inhibits good mental health.
Sometimes the post-trauma brain does what we call mind reading, and so you will have times for a non-CO where guys will say, you know, these people, I can tell that they think I'm an idiot. You know, I can tell they dislike me. I can tell they are thinking X, Y, or Z about me. But that's trauma-induced. His, because we think we've done something wrong, right? Because we think we're not good enough. And so we end up, quote unquote, mind reading others. His is love of the image, and he is, I'm telling you, he and Carl could be related. Yes, they are that much alike when it comes to want me, need me, make me feel important. Yeah, and that's all he's after. And so I just think that's so funny when he says dozens of chicks, like this is a huge number. You know, dozens of chicks.
Yeah.
And again, the backstory between him and the first sergeant, the first sergeant just doesn't seem to even give a crap. But when they go out together, all of a sudden he aligns with him. And so I'm not quite sure of that one yet.
Okay, so what the first sergeant's doing here is, deep down the first sergeant doesn't give a fuck about this fucking Dartmouth crew rowers legacy. But he's just kind of playing along. Oh, it's good to go, sir. Like I've seen it in real life. Oh, that's good shit, sure. That's good trash. Good trash.
Yeah.
You know?
And he really is stuck. He doesn't have a whole lot of options. He just has to nod and smile and get through the day.
Yeah.
But man, I would find something else to do other than sit next to that guy. Yeah. So in thinking about the interaction between the CO and Murphy, he really has this nonchalant attitude about any type of involvement with an Afghan. I mean, he just openly says, okay, well, go to his house, check it out. Whatever intel he has, let's go where he says to go. No vetting process. How much is this based on reality? How frequently would this happen for you?
There's only one instance I can remember when somebody came to our base, literally walked up to the front gate and was like, hey. And then they came and told us about a hill that had IEDs on it. And it turned out they were right. There were like fucking 6 of them on that hill. And that hill we had used as an LPOP.
Oh.
If we had sent guys up there to do an LPOP again, they all would have gotten fucking pink misted. They would have been gone.
Yeah.
So that was the only instance that I can remember that that's probably where the inspiration came from for this guy coming up and saying, "Hey, I think I know where there's an ID maker." Because I don't remember any civilians coming and telling us about an ID maker. But my CO wasn't like that. He would not have been dismissive of the Afghans. He understood hearts and minds, and he wanted to make sure that we treated him well.
Would he have been dismissive of your opinion?
In this situation? No, not necessarily.
Taken it for what it was.
Yeah. So my CO was not. This is not a recreation of my CO. Now my CO, my issue with him was that he just didn't take it as seriously, right? Like when he went to give a combat order, which is the foundation of your job as a fucking officer, for all the officers watching. Your job is the orders process. It is nothing else. So you must be great at the orders process. He thought the orders process was gay. He thought the orders process was nerdy. He thought, just to fucking go out there and get it done. And I'm just like,
wing it.
What?
Yeah.
You fucking mother... How could you have that mentality? You're a fucking Marine Corps officer leading a rifle company in a very kinetic AO. We're doing helicopter raids. That was our bread and butter for the whole second half of the deployment. And he never took the orders seriously. He stood in front of, you read in my book, he stood in front of the fucking entire battalion staff. He said, oh yeah, we're gonna land here and we're gonna do this. And we'll go to here and we'll figure it out.
Major Tard?
Major Tard was the operations officer.
Oh, okay.
My CO. I mean, I was stunned. I wanted to just like start a slow clap for him. It's like, wow, that was amazing fucking order, sir.
With such a nonchalant attitude and unnecessarily sacrificing soldiers, which is basically what he's doing, he's okay with that. What message does that send to people?
I think it makes people feel betrayed.
It does. The heavier message is, I'm replaceable, which really boils down to, I'm not important and my life is not valued. Yeah. Because if you're going to send a new me in immediately after I die, what am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a number.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, you're a fucking number.
Yes, exactly.
We're all a number.
That's the message that he sends.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, you have to operate that way, but not unnecessarily putting people in harm's way.
Sure.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, is that old school infantry, conventional warfare, it's like, you just accept. I mean, that's where the term bullet sponges comes from, right? What is old school warfare? Is you stand on the front line and 80% of the front line is going to eat a bullet. And you step over him and you step over the next line. You literally are stepping over bodies. That is warfare. This counterinsurgency shit is nuts. We got fucking 18-year-old dumbasses fighting counterinsurgency. The number of decisions that need to be made for the mission in life or death, it's wild that they put us in these situations. And I think if we were fighting in a country who gave a fuck about their country, I fully believe that everything that we were taught was incredible and we could have won. And we could have turned it around. But we were doing this with a nation that doesn't give a fuck about their nation. That just doesn't work. So it was really, really, kind of hopeless situation.
The next sentence out of Murphy's mouth is a disagreement, but he's offering valuable information, but it doesn't come across that way to the CO. It comes across as challenging behavior and undermining his authority. Your character is being very reasonable. His character is not. And he's saying, go get it done. If there's, in fact, his verbiage even changes. If there's an IED maker in your AO, so now it's your AO, right? It's Murphy's AO. And he gets away because we didn't seize, we have failed the battalion commander. Okay? But then later on, in future episodes, that language changes. And it's Murphy's fault. It's your Marines, it's your AO, it's your this and your that, and there is no we anymore.
Yeah, the part of that got me really hot was him saying, Not if an IED maker gets away in your AO, that more Marines are going to die. It's that if an IED maker gets away in your AO, the battalion commander is going to be let down.
We have failed the battalion commander.
Like that
Yes.
should be a thing that exists in anyone else's mind.
And a lot of my guys come in and we have the honest and open discussion of how much trauma, how much bad shit occurs because someone was negligent or shirked their duties in leadership. And the answer is a lot. And that's horrible to say that, but it is reality. I'm not saying there's such a thing as a perfect officer, because there isn't. That doesn't exist. But to blatantly disregard safety measures, all for is it a CCIR? No, yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, CCIR.
Yeah, CCIR, yeah. And to think that CCIR equates to automatic validity in his mind. Well, if it's a priority, then we need to go do it. No questions asked. And the craziest part is that Murphy's not saying no. Murphy's saying just not right now.
Yeah.
And it still doesn't matter to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely disregarded.
That type of leadership, this guy, it's like he's not willing to work as a team. It's just like, it's my way, and I'm not going to listen to the people who are, on the ground. Everything is emanating from the desires of the battalion commander, because the battalion commander writes his fit rep, and that guides decisions, and that fucking used to infuriate me. That decisions are being guided by your fit rep.
And every single time, he's not only justifying the decision to the CO, but he's also having to educate him.
Yeah.
Because he just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
He does not get it. But Murphy's going to be indignified in this relationship, and it comes in future episodes.
Yes.
Yeah, he is going to, and it's so bad, well, I'll save it for later, but shame on that CO.
Yeah.
Shame, absolute shame on that CO.
Yeah.
So the next piece that caught my attention was when they're all huddled around the terrain model, and they say something like, how solid is this intel? And Murphy pauses and looks at the staff sergeant. It's solid. It's solid. And they keep it together. And your lower enlisteds don't need to know that. It does them no good to know that type of information, that you have absolutely nothing to go on, and that you're doing this just to please the powers that be. Yeah, no benefit.
Pretty fucking solid intel.
Yeah. Pretty solid intel.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
We're still doing it.
Yeah. So we just continue, and we can see that no one agrees. But again, the one that I feel the sorriest for is that staff sergeant. Constant interference.
Yeah.
Constant. Yeah. So.
Constantly being bounced in between all of these characters who are at conflict with each other. Oh yeah, the disdain that some Marines had for other Marines, disdain that they had for Carl, just like, we gotta fuck him up, like that.
Does he know he's a piece of shit?
Yes, I think he does. I think.
No, he doesn't though.
Yeah, because
he doesn't. He knows he's not good enough. He feels that way, but he doesn't get why people don't like him, why he's not accepted. Yeah, he does not see that. And that's the funny thing is the veteran community talks about how we should all band together and do this and do that. You people didn't like each other when you were enlisted. What makes you think that you're going to like each other now?
Seriously, guys, I've got so much fucking C4, it's ridiculous. We can turn the whole place into brown mist. Hey, that'd be tight, but...
Shut the fuck up, Carl.
Nothing has changed.
Yeah. Well, what's changed is that you're not in the uniform anymore.
Exactly.
What's changed is that you should put away this mindset. Mindset.
Should.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
but
that's what I want to encourage.
It's also important to remember that the guy that you served with is also not the guy of present day life.
Yeah.
He's grown, he's changed. He might be a married man, he might be a father. His perspective of the world has changed. His attitude, his belief system. And so, as much as we dislike Carl may change and grow over time. Other people may change and grow over time, and they may come to accept Carl more. But for now, he's just desperate for acceptance.
Yeah, he really is. He's in a lonely position
Yes.
here in this platoon.
Yes, he is. And the CO is where he's going to get that approval.
Yes. That's coming up next episode?
I think so. Next one, or maybe the one after that.
Nice.
Yeah. We have this situation with the CO where he completely undermines Murphy every single time. And then guys get out and they end up having repeat jobs where they can't work with others in the workplace because trust has continually been violated. And until you address that and there's some post-traumatic growth, so to speak, that will not resolve itself. Okay, and people say, I don't work well with others, I don't get along, I'm tired of the stupidity, I have a low bullshit tolerance, whatever it may be. A lot of times though, it's I don't trust leadership. Yeah. That takes some growing up.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. All of the things. You know, I've heard many times, oh yeah, I didn't get along in college with all those freaking college nerds, those libtards. And I didn't fit in the workplace because I cursed too much. They didn't like my curse. And it's like this sense of pride that they isolated themselves just because they spoke like a fucking, you know, like a Marine.
Yeah. When you get in the civilian world, you actually have to put effort into relationships.
Yes.
And that's something that doesn't happen in this scenario because orders go down. They don't go up.
Yeah.
But when you enter the civilian workforce, hopefully, if you're with a good company, there's engagement on both sides and your opinion is valued and you can trust leadership and there's growth together as a whole. But if you're not willing or open to do that, don't expect to have good employers.
Sure. Or just don't expect to not be constantly frustrated.
Yes, that
is
too.
one of the things.
That
It's
too.
like they come into this new environment knowing what is going to be abrasive to other people. And they continue being abrasive to other people. And then they wonder why they're alone. It's like, grow the fuck up.
Yeah. Some of you,
What are you doing?
Some of you, I'm not going to name names, some of you end up opening your own companies because you just really need to work for yourself and be in charge.
Yeah. I know some guys who've done that.
You know some guys who've done that?
Yeah.
I know some guys who've done that. Yes.
Fucking weirdos.
But it's also kind of that same growth process, right? And some people really just are great leaders and they're great entrepreneurs, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have a bunch of veterans that do that. But it's because of a result of not doing well under stupid leadership or leadership that I could not trust.
Sure.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, my thought is if I ever think to myself, I could do that better, then I better try it or shut my fucking mouth. Right? If I don't try to do it better, then I'm just a moron if I'm sitting there complaining about it.
Yes.
So that's, you know,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
why
Absolutely.
I had to.
So much of learning about the transition process is learning that really veterans should go and serve and fulfill your contract like it's any other job and blend back into the workforce and society.
100%.
The only problem though is that when you feel like you're abnormal or you're a monster, you don't feel like you can blend back into society. So you really have to work on your own thought process.
Yeah.
That takes work.
I think that the indoctrination process, before you get into the military, I think it takes some mindset coaching to set someone up for success. For people to understand that the military experience is not real world. That it is this wild and crazy thing that is going to be just one experience in a host of many experiences in your life.
It's ironic that you say that because there's so much, for as much exposure to danger as there is for some of our infantrymen, there's also a whole lot of protection. And what I mean by that is, I have heard numbers before, and I don't know how accurate they are, but I've heard numbers before that say the average enlisted member makes 3,000 decisions a day. How many decisions a day does the average civilian make?
Probably way more.
10,000.
Yeah.
Yes, and we've seen that in movies like Hurt Locker, where he's standing in the aisle of cereal, overwhelmed, and doesn't know which box to pick. Right?
Yeah.
That is the right movie, right? Hurt Locker?
I don't remember.
Full Metal Jacket.
But every time I smoke a
Hurt
bowl and go
Locker.
to the grocery store, I have the same experience.
Okay, overwhelmed by choices. Overwhelmed by choices. Yes, and so again, it goes back to everything has been provided for you. Even though we put you in harm's way and you are in danger, which you signed up for, housing, food, clothing. I mean, you don't hardly have to think about things. I've even had E8s who are helping E4s and E3s manage their money and learn to balance a checkbook.
Yeah.
You know, and what good are we doing people by not letting them grow and learn? And part of growing and learning is learning how to transition back into civilian life, making more decisions on your own, learning how to improve your interactions with others, and really taking responsibility for the new you. Who do you want to be?
I love that.
So.
Yeah, I used to get very frustrated with the hand holding and coddling in the military. It's just fucking pathetic.
The government has done that to you.
Yeah, totally. But it's a cultural thing. I remember my guys were supposed to do their MCIs. Your MCIs, are needed to get promotion, and you are required to do MCIs if you want to be successful in the military. And I remember one of my section leaders was like, "Oh, we got to make the guys do the MCIs. We got to force them to do it." I'm like, "No, fuck that. If they don't want to do the MCIs, then fuck it. They can wash out of the Marine Corps. That's their choice." And he was just like, "No, that's not the way it goes, sir." He's like, people made me do my MCIs. I was just a dumb fucking,
So you're an enabler.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you are. Yeah. You enable laziness and you prohibit growth.
Yes.
Yes.
You got to wake them up in the morning. You got to tell them when to eat. You got to tell them to drink water. That's why everyone who falls out of a fucking hike, I'm just like, I have no compassion. Zero. It's like, you couldn't have the common sense to drink fucking water and have salt, get a decent night's sleep,
and
eat.
that translates to therapy how? Well, I can't do it for you. You have to want it. You have to want to change. And the last time I checked, you called me, I don't call you.
Yeah.
Which, making the phone call is hard enough, and I get that, but people have to want that for themselves.
Yeah.
I cannot do it for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I could, I would, but I can't.
They must have that will.
Yeah. They have to have that desire to change. It's got to be bad enough that they're ready to do the work to change. Filling out your MCI for a promotion, you would think that that would be enough motivation for people, but sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
And that goes to internal and external motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite pathetic. Oh, big badass infantryman. Can't fucking do the basics of living life. What are we doing, guys? What are we doing? Anyways, this has been fantastic. We'll debrief on episode 3. I'm excited to get into episode 4 and get deeper into some of the more fucked up shit that's going on as Murphy gets more and more pissed off about what is going on around him, the things that are being imposed on him. But yeah, this was great. I'm really glad that everything that we talk about here can somehow be related back to a mindset, and differentiating the mindset between the mindset for winning wars and the mindset for leading a happy civilian life. Two totally different things, and if we can identify the specificities of both mindsets, then I think it can encourage guys to improve their mindset and make their mindset what it needs to be, to either be a grunt if you're trying to get some now, or to be a happy civilian and not live with all this anger and rage and constantly lying to people and cheating on your girlfriend and going to strip clubs and all this fucking shit that you should get out of your system by mid-20s. Guys are still doing it into 30s and 40s. It's like, what the fuck, buddy? Come on, grow up for God's sake. You do that for a time and then you fucking move on. So, anyways.
We'll cover that in the future.
We'll get to that. Thanks for following the Grunt Slide podcast. Thank you, Lauren Rich.
Yes,
Cheers. You've
pleasure.
been amazing as always.
Thanks.
Whoop, whoop.